From today onwards, I am going to introduce to my friends the books I have read and remembered. I hope to do it every day or at least every other day until I feel exhausted or until I reach my 100th book. The list, as it is personal, will be idiosyncratic, and since my memory is not always reliable, I will make use of the reviews and comments available on the net if required. The list will include both fictional and non fictional work. The first book I am taking up today is Goodbye to All That by Robert Graves. Though wars are fought by humans, its canvas is hardly human. Its sheer size and dimensions suffocate whatever human in it. But now and then, a writer emerges who looks at war as a human being, as one who, has, who had participated in it, and tries to lend breath to the human side of the war. If he or she has the necessary literary skills, the work becomes a classic. Robert Graves' Goodbye to All That is one such work. Though and still it had and it still has its detractors. In fact, one of the great poets, Siegfried Sassoon, the famous poet of First World War, was one of them. The work, autobiographical in nature, has become a classic right from 1929, the year in which it was published. The First World War changed the entire world, but the changes in Europe and Britain were swift. It plucked people from the sedate and sure world they were living in and hurled them into the searing furnace of uncertainty. Every value, be it religious, social, political, artistic, and yes, sexual, came to be questioned. Above all, patriotism became a word of derision and contempt, as it was the name of that, as it was in its name that millions of youngsters were sent to death. The Book of Graves is about this period. It is unpretentious and stark, and it doesn't hesitate to plunge the dagger deep when it is required. For instance, the average lifespan of a soldier on the front was about 3 months, by which time he was likely either to be killed or wounded, or, as the author says, which I am going to read now, to committed suicide. Let me read what the author says. As I went towards company headquarters to wake the officers, I saw a man on his face in a machine gun shelter. I stopped and said, "Stand through there." I flashed my torch on him and saw that his foot was bare. The machine gunner beside him said, "No good talking to him, sir." I asked, "What is wrong?" "What is he taken his boot and sock off for?" I was ready for anything odd in the trenches. "Look for yourself, sir." I shook the man by the arm, noticed suddenly that the back of his head was blown out. The first corpse that I saw in France was a suicide. He had taken off his boot and sock to pull the trigger with his toe. The muscle was in his mouth. "Why did you do it?" I asked. I said, "He was in the last push, sir, and that sent him a bit queer." And on top of that, he got bad news from Limerick about his girl and another chap. This is what the author says about the first suicide he saw. I first read this book in the late 60s. I borrowed it from the MTT Hindu College library, then a treasure trove of books. I read it again a few years ago and it hadn't stayed. If you like the book, please remember to read Veda Britton's Testament of Youth. She was about 20 when the war started. She loses in the war her fiance, her brother, and two of her closest friends. The Guardian rightly says, when it writes about the book, to mark the 80th year of its publication, in Testament of Youth, the words seem to pour out of her, a potent mixture of rage and loss, underpinned by lively intelligence and fervent pacifist beliefs. Anyone who has a romantic attachment to war should read these two books. I count them as one. And there is every chance that the person will instantly be cured of the romance. Thank you very much. Please wait for my next book, the second book. Thank you very much.